July 14th, 2014, and we're here in Wright County, Minnesota with Craig. And Craig was alleged to have committed felony malicious punishment of a child. And Craig, these allegations came out almost a year ago, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And the state, after a fairly thorough investigation and cooperation with social services, decided to move forward with charging. And when Craig, you had an opportunity to interview, I presume you had an opportunity to interview several lawyers before you made a choice.
Yes, I did.
And what made you choose our firm?
I guess it may sound a little funny, but it was kind of, I followed the signs. I was listening to the radio, and I've listened to you on 93X. I've heard you talk on there, and I was having one of those mornings kind of trying to figure out what I should do. And I heard you come on, and I heard you talk, and it was one of those, well, I'm going to give him a call. I researched your website, I researched you online, and your record, and I decided to go ahead and give you a phone call, and because you had a very good track record, and you come very highly recommended.
And so you had that initial meeting with us, and my associate, Anthony Bussa here, we worked side by side on this case, and we went through several meetings together.
Correct, yes.
And also we kind of explained the process for how it's going to go. We told you you're in for a long haul here. This is the battle. You immediately proclaimed your innocence to us, and that was what we rode all the way through this case, with the idea that we weren't going to be accepting any offers and that we were going to go to trial no matter what the state offered, right?
Yes.
And one of the mistakes that I think that some lawyers make, or defendants, is they get so nervous about an actual trial coming, or they get too worn out by the multiple court hearings and the long process as this is hanging over their heads, is that they'll give in to an offer that really shouldn't be acceptable. And so what we pride ourselves on is always preparing for trial in any case, with the idea that if we prepare for trial, we can always handle something short of that. But if you're not prepared for trial, you're going to accept an offer that you should not accept, or if it goes to trial, you're quickly going to get blown out of the water and have a guilty verdict against you. So we knew that was going to be happening from the beginning, and as discovery, which is the evidence, started coming in the case, as we gathered that up, true that you were given copies of everything we were receiving?
Yes, it was.
And did you feel that you were being kept in the loop as to what was happening in the case?
Absolutely, yes.
And we had multiple meetings, and we had opportunities to interview you and your fiance about the allegations, and also to learn about the background. And we learned quite a bit about the background of the relationships here, the background of what we could use helpful for the case that's beyond the allegations in this case, but things leading up to it that we think would be helpful for a jury to learn, right?
Yes.
And then we had Tony run with some of that and follow up with developing more of a background, and with other court records, we really used other resources to gather up other information that would help us to impeach the accusers in this case. And how did you feel that worked out? We worked with you in order to gather some of that, right?
Yes, you did. Yes, and I felt in the loop the entire time. My feedback was listened to, and we interacted quite well, and you know, what I had to say to you, and with the questions that I had when you asked what I needed, I asked why and so on, and it was explained to me thoroughly, so I understood the process the entire way.
And so how did you feel about it as the case is moving towards trial? Obviously a very scary time knowing that. But what, you know, if someone's out there thinking about, well, what lawyer should I hire, or why should I hire one firm over another, is there anything you have to tell people about that?
I would say that from the get-go, Tony and Ryan have listened to what I had to say, believed what I had to say, and reassured me the entire way that when I said no offer, that we would go to trial, I'm innocent. They believed me, they followed through, they didn't try to steer me down any other avenue. They listened to what I had to say, and they fought the hell out of this case. And I would say, if you're looking, it's a wise investment to go with this firm, absolutely.
And this case had some peculiar, some cases are more peculiar than others, but in this case there were particular points of evidence and other things that were either going to come in or not without us knowing until we get a ruling from the judge, but that required quite a bit of evidentiary research through case law and the rules of evidence to prep our arguments to get our trial in the best position before a jury that we could, and the state would be trying to do that on their side of the case. And to that end, Tony did quite a bit of work making sure that we were on top of our evidentiary arguments as well, because a law firm that knows how to try a case knows what to look out for in trial and can anticipate the things that the other side is going to do or that the court may or may not do. And anticipation is a big part of the game. If we're able to anticipate the other side's arguments or what they might try to get into an evidence over our objection, we can be prepared for those evidentiary arguments, know how to combat those things, and try to keep the evidence where we think it should be at a trial so that it doesn't misinform or distract a jury from the real issue in the case, which is always, is our client guilty or innocent of the charges before them, and can the state prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt, which is their job. So Tony did a lot of work with that and got the case to a point where we needed it to be. And here we show up for the morning of trial after spending countless hours preparing for this thing, both Tony and I texting each other in the middle of the night, emailing each other in the middle of the night. These kind of cases where you believe a client is truly innocent keep you up in the middle of the night because you feel as a lawyer that you cannot fail them. You cannot let an injustice occur in the courtroom, and it's all the pressure in the world on us, but we thrive on that. We are honored to have that pressure put on us and honored to have that trust that a client places in our hands, and we won't let them down. So we like trying cases. We're able to take on any kind of allegations that come. And when people are looking to find a firm, we suggest you find a firm that knows how to go to trial, has a record of winning at trial, and knows what it takes to win at trial, and will give you honest advice. Sometimes a case shouldn't go to trial. Sometimes the evidence is too tough, and sometimes that's not the right call because you face too much of a punishment if you do go and you're likely to lose. We know what those cases are, and we're comfortable telling people that. On the other hand, sometimes you should go to trial because you're truly innocent, or sometimes you should go to trial because the government wants you to plead to a charge that's too excessive for what really happened in the case, and only an experienced trial lawyer can tell that. So we're happy to have represented you. We're happy that we think justice occurred in this case and the state has dismissed the charges against you. You're a free man, you won't have a criminal record, and you're likely to go on with your life and obtain the employment that you need and keep your children and so forth. So it was an honor to represent you. It was an honor to work with Tony on this case and get a result that we think was right. If you have any other questions, we're at Ryan Pacyga Criminal Defense. You can find us on the web at arrestedminnesota.com or by phone at 612-339-58